Okay, welcome to this Vegas 8 tutorial on using the ProType titler, which is inside the media generator, as well as the color gradient. And notice I said Vegas 8. The ProType titler is only in Vegas 8, it's not in Vegas 5. However, the color gradient is in Vegas 5, so you can use that. Just you can't get the fancy font effect. And just a quick little preview, you can see there's the gradient and there's the little pop-up with the name. And then you can also do another version, which is a jump in. So what the plan here is to get everybody using these things when you're doing your weekly wrap-up stories. That way we'll have a nice consistent look no matter who's doing the story. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is let's take care of this little color gradient. I'm going to delete this one and just put another one back in. So I go to gradient, you roll down, and you find this one, the linear blue-green title bar. It's in Vegas 5 as well. You can drag that sucker down. And notice what we have here is it starts with the whole with the blue zone, which is the one zone. You can just click on this transparency and make that all the way transparent so the blue goes away. Of course, if you want to use it for some other reason, you could change that color blue and make it green or red or whatever. But we're going to disappear it because we just want the lower third. And then using this little arrow, you can select the next gradient control point, which is number 2. And instead of being green, we'll do ours kind of a yellow. And then click on the next one to a darker blue. It'll kind of fade down. And I'm going to do is I'm going to take that number 3 and bring it up just a little bit. Get it up there to make it get darker blue faster. And don't mess up your aspect ratio angle. So I'm going to change that back to 90. So that gives me a pretty good looking title bar. And now to do the name, I'm going to go into the ProType titler, and I'm just going to grab an empty one and drag it down into the timeline. Of course, you could add a new timeline first if you haven't done it. And this box pops up, and I'm just kind of figuring out, so I'm not like super good at it, but not too bad. If you go into the collections, these are kind of like pre-made ones that they've already done all the programming for you. So they have like a bounce, and you see a little preview of it, dropping words, flying. So the jump is pretty good, and the pop-up is pretty cool. So I'm going to do the pop-up. I'm going to grab it and drag it down in the track. That will create it. And now if I click on collections again, this will slide back in. Now here's the tricky part. Since I'm right at the beginning of the timeline, my text hasn't popped up yet, so I don't see it. So I'm going to grab this, slide it out, so now I can actually see the words pop up. So if you click it one time, you go to text block properties, and there I could change the make it smaller. I can move it around. I'm changing the properties of the whole block. And one thing that's neat, I can add a gradient fill, so my letters could have a gradient color to them. I could also add a drop shadow, which I like to do. And you can play around with a couple of things you can do with the text block. What I want to do now is change the actual text. So if you click on this little I, edit text, or double click into it, either way. But when you double click into it, see now it changes text edit mode. Click here to press escape to exit. Click here or press escape to exit. So now I'm changing the text. So I can pick a font, and you're going to want to pick a font that's pretty, it's got some, heft to it, some thickness to it. Because when we're watching it on TV in school, if the font's really skinny, you'll barely be able to see it. And then of course I can change it and write whatever I want. And I would definitely recommend, I'm going to move this out of the way so I can kind of see a preview of it. There's my preview. I would definitely recommend you choosing a stroke color, which is make even a little bit of an edge. See, I'm going to go in here and change that. I have to highlight it first. Oops. There. And now I want to give it a little bit of a, that'll give it a little black edge, kind of a gray edge. So you can change the fill color if you want it white. White, of course, always looks really good on TV. White text with a little black edge to it. Maybe make it a little bit darker. And I want to add a little, that's probably good enough. So now I got my font, I make it a little bit smaller. Now I'm going to click here to escape, and now I'm going to place that font. I'm going to move this out of the way so I can grab that and move it down. There, get it in place. And now the little programming part is going to happen automatically when it pops up. So I'm good over here. I should be able to just close this out, come back to the beginning, play it, and there it pops up. And then it just stays there as long as I have it. If I want to fade it out earlier, I can fade that out. And that's about it. So that's an example of one. It's a couple of little things I did notice. If you go inside of the, you want to click back in the generated media to go back and edit it. Once again, when you first open it, notice I don't see the text at all because I'm at the very beginning of the timeline. So I can slide it a little bit. But it seems like sometimes if you're clicking on the edit text and you're inside here, and then from here you just close straight out, sometimes it loses the effect. And my effect's still there, so that's cool. So if that happens, you just have to go back into it. So that's about it. So let's do that for all of our weekly wrap-up stories. We want a nice little color gradient title bar for our lower third graphics, and then we want to use a nice thick font and have some kind of pro title effect if you're using Vegas 8. If you're using Vegas 5, you're going to just have to, you can just do a simple fade in and fade out. It'll still look pretty good. So that should be it, and looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with.